Right, so we're going to explore more about this interface later on, but what I want to do with you now is to learn how we're going to take our application. So here, so this application, which is running on localhost 8080 at the moment, and by the way, this is running in here in this Docker container. So if I press Control C, so you see that that stopped, and right here, if I reload, that's gone. Let me just run again. So Docker run --rm -p 8080, and then this is the image right here. So enter, and then we get the application up and running. Now this is running locally. So basically in here, we want to learn how to take our image right here and then write a file, upload it to Elastic Beanstalk, and then in here Elastic Beanstalk will basically, so you saw that within the resources, so let me just zoom out a little bit, just like that, and you saw that Elastic Beanstalk created the load balancer and also the auto scaling, as well as the EC2. So this is the actual server, so the virtual server on the cloud. And basically, so it doesn't have actually 3 at the moment. We only have 1 instance running, but you can see that if we have the load balancer, it means that if we have 3 instances, then it will send to all of these 3 instances. And in fact, let me just fix these errors just like that. And basically it will send to whatever instance is available within this auto scaling. And later we'll also connect to a real database. But for now, let's just try and deploy the Docker image into this server. So currently, as I said, we only have 1 server, but we want to take our Docker image and then deploy that inside of a server. So for that, what we need is to write this file in here. So a docker compose.yaml. So let's go ahead and open up IntelliJ, and right here, I'm going to create a new folder. So new directory, and then I'm going to say elastic bean and then stalk. And then inside, let's create a new file. And in here, I'm going to name this as docker dash and then compose dot and then YAML. Enter. And in this file, we're going to write some YAML, but let me show you what Docker Compose is. So Docker Compose is a tool for defining and running multi-container Docker applications. With Compose, you use a YAML file to configure application services. Then with a single command, we can start all of these services together. So here, for example, so this is an example of a Docker Compose YAML. So here we specify the version and then services and then volumes, so on and so forth. So this is not that difficult, and you'll see that our Docker Compose YAML will be super simple. So what we want to do is in here, we want to have the version. So let's have the version, and the version. So in here, we have the version 3. So I think it's the latest one, and the version 3 has 3.8. I think this is the latest one. So let's see if we can use 3.8. So here I'm going to say 3.8. And by the way, you can find the links for those documents in the description of this video. Next, we need to define the services. So services, and within services, we define the backend. And for the backend, we specify an image. And the image that we want to specify is, guess what? So remember, if I go to Docker Hub, so in here, Amigos code Spring Boot React. So this is our image, right? So this one right here, I can paste that, and I don't know why it did that, but let's fix it quickly. There we go. And in here, if I put this full screen, we can actually, basically here, we can define the version. So here we can say, right, we want to run the version 1 or version 2 or latest, right? So remember, we have version 1 or actually tags. So the tag number 1, tag number 2, or latest. So for now, let's just stick with latest. And then we have to specify ports. And this is an array. And this, we're going to say map port 80 to port 8080. And you'll see this in a second. And finally, we want to say restart and then always within double quotes. And there we go. So you can see that this is actually really straightforward, right? So we have the version, the services section, the backend, the image. So this is whatever image that you have in your Docker Hub. So if you change this to your username, then make sure that this is the corresponding one. And then the ports. So 80 will map to 8080. So this is what Spring Boot is listening on. And then we say that if the application for some reason has any issues, then we always want to try and bring the application up. So we want to restart always. And to be honest, this is it.